This is More Than Reality podcast, where we dive into all things faith, family, and marriage and share that there is so much more than the reality that you see on the surface. Welcome to More Than Reality with Adam and Danielle Busby.
All right.
I'm not even ready.
Always waiting on Adam. Always waiting on Adam. Story of the House of Seven Women's life.
I wear
Always
multiple
waiting
hats
on
with this
Adam.
podcast. Like,
I know. I just like to say I'm waiting on you because most of the time
I
we
shoot
are,
it,
but I like
edit
to.
it. I do all the social, I do a lot.
Do we need to praise you right now?
I do a lot. You just get to sit there and watch me.
For this one task job. Anyway, so welcome back to More Than Reality podcast with Adam, who we're always waiting on, and Danielle, who's always early, Busby.
Oh gosh! So we're starting this podcast off lying through our braces teeth.
We're on fire today. So tell me about the weekend. What did we do this weekend? Oh, it's just been the best weather. Like, so good. It's been, if we could only live like this all the time, sunny and like upper 70s. It's just
no humidity.
Like, I went on a walk today at like noon.
Yeah, and normally it would be like blistering hot.
Like, you can't go outside after 9 a.m. because you're like sweating to death.
Yeah. But the girls had soccer game this weekend.
We won.
We were late to the soccer game.
See, because we were waiting on Adam.
No.
You just proved at the beginning of this episode. We were waiting on you to sit down.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Because I don't remember why we were late. I just know that we didn't have gas in the van. You had to put air in the tire. We got there with enough gas, even though we didn't have enough gas in the car, which is like the number one thing we hate on the weekends. Always make sure there's gas in the van because we're always waiting on Adam and we're always late. But we did pull up and literally I was like, girls, y'all need to be ready, which means Parker and Riley, like, get ready. You're going straight onto the field. And we hopped out and the coach, the coach is like,
he sees us pull in. You can't miss our van.
And what's funny is that when Abby came in, she's like, Derek's texting me saying, we need the other player. Bring her here. Because our other daughter was playing and so she'll come fill in. And he's like, never mind, the Busbys just pulled up.
And so he meets us like halfway. Girls, come on, run. The game has started.
Already started. Yeah.
So Parker had to run immediately onto the field.
But the team at first, it was 11:30, so usually it's like super, super hot, but it actually was amazing, beautiful out. But
I think they started off a little flustered, and then they went down early. So we went down 1-0 early in the game, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. This may be a game. But then we won. Yeah, like it was like
4-2, 5-2. So it's a good game. And we had I haven't been feeling too well the past probably a couple of weeks, just inflammation, and I get flare-ups and whatnot. And I'm sure we'll talk about these things one day. But so I hadn't been feeling that good. So I missed church, just stayed home. Adam took the girls to church, came back, and we had just another day outside. It's like, why can't every day be like this in Texas?
Yeah.
We had just family friends over. And
Ben and Corley came over.
And then the Mowbrays came over.
Good Ranchers.
Bronson. Oh, yeah. Good Ranchers.
Yeah.
America's meat.
American meat delivered.
Meat delivered.
Ben and Corley are the owner of Good Ranchers. And so they're very close.
Mr. and Mrs. Good Rancher.
Mr. and Mrs. Good Rancher.
They'll appreciate that if they listen to
They're
this.
very close with our family now. Like they're probably some of our closest friends that we hang out with quite a bit nowadays.
Yeah. Good dynamics between us and the kids.
Love the kids.
Just because they have 4, we have 6. So once it's over 4, it's kind of all the same number.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things like people that have a lot of kids, especially younger kids, like you tend to start to gravitate towards other people that just like understand you.
Right.
And
we haven't been understood for a long time.
And so they have 4 kids under
Well, Bear just turned 7, so
7.
6.
And so, so they're kind of well aware of like what life is like and just like how hectic everything is. And so it just like works. Like our kids play very well together. They love their kids. And so it just
it's
makes
like the
it
family
easy.
you can just sit around and the adults can hang out because all the kids are just literally playing. And I mean, every once in a while there'll be a little tiff here and there or whatever. But I mean, we sat outside for a really long time yesterday. All the kids playing in the pool, out the pool, on the bicycles, and we just sat down and then grilled.
Threw a bunch of burgers, Good Rancher Wagyu burgers on the Traeger,
which are the best.
You can't beat
Bronson
those.
got dropped off. Nephew Bronson, Crystal and Dale had their anniversary, so we kept Bronson since we could bring him to school at the same time as Blake. And then the Mowbrays came over, and so we just had a great evening.
Yep.
So it was fun. That kind of like what I was getting at was I hadn't been feeling too good, and I stayed home from church. But then that kind of like, the message that Brian spoke was very much speaking directly to me. And then, so that kind of like pumped me up and encouraged me. And then just having everybody over and just chilling. I like conversations.
So she didn't go to church, but she like our church will live stream it online. Yeah. So like you got to stay home. So I live streamed
it from the bathtub. So it was really kind of weird.
You watched church naked?
I had to get in the tub and soak. And so I was like, I just put it on my iPad. So
that's really weird to think about.
I know. I was watching Brian and I'm like, it was just really weird, but
I don't know how I feel about this.
It was weird. I couldn't watch it on the, like usually cause I have like the bathtub tray and I put my iPad there. It felt weird. So I was like, I just had to put it on the side and just listen to it.
Just worshiping Jesus in your birthday suit.
Yeah. Hey, come as you are. Anyway, so today.
So whenever you're like watching like live stream on TV, you never know. Like you can see how many people are like tuned in live, like on the YouTube stream. Some of those people could be butt naked. Never know.
You know who I can't wait to hear that is Nate. I'm going to make sure he listens to that one. Actually, don't tell him. Well, never mind. We just said it on the microphone, so guess it doesn't matter. Funny story. Anyway, so let's see. Last episode, we chatted. We got into the process of our infertility experience of going through infertility, discussed about what it was like for Adam to kind of go through that experience. And then we kind of like stop there.
Kind of on a humorous level, but also like it's still...
Hey, listen,
it's still a journey.
I know that there's a lot of men and women too. And, you'll hear kind of my side of what I was going through and like infertility wise, but for Adam to kind of share like his side of it. And it was really, really hard. And we'll get into a little bit more deepness of that later on in this episode. But, just I hope that other families or men, marriages, the wife maybe listening to this and the husband's listening, or you can share with your spouse. Like men do have feelings and go through awkward things. They can. I would still say that women usually have more awkward things that they have to experience in gynecology things and stuff, mammograms and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's hopefully can bring someone to laugh, because at the time that we were going through that and how hard it was, it then brought so much laughter that we still talk about, today. And like when he shared, last episode about all the fun, I don't even know what to classify.
Awkward stories.
Not
necessarily fun. It was more awkward.
It's fun for me. It's fun for me to listen to.
A couple of those appointments were fun.
The one where you had all the students, that was the fun one.
Passed around like a piece of
whose hands were the coldest? So I guess today we're going to kind of get into what was my side of infertility and what issues did I have kind of contributing into us not being able to have a child. And so from us being kids to growing up to becoming married and wanting a family was something we never thought that we would ever struggle with. Yeah. And then when we were faced with that, it brought up a lot of stress and like, just what? Like we just didn't know anything about it because we never thought this would happen to us. And, so talked a little bit briefly of that, and then kind of what Adam went through with the urologist and those appointments and all those things that men could possibly have to go through to help conceive during their, family.
Yeah, but this process, I mean, this was like a probably 2.5+ year journey just to, before, obviously, we have 6 kids. Our first daughter, Blake, she's 13 now. And so this was all, leading up to trying to get pregnant with Blake.
Right.
And, so it was a 2.5 to 3 year process of going through all these fertility treatments. And so
we were still pretty young. I mean, I think we wanted to have, like, in my perfect world, though, these are things that we learn. Perfect world. There's no perfect world because it's always up to God's timing in his world, but I wanted to have like a kid by 25. I wanted to be young and I wanted to be done by 30. Like that was the goal. But it didn't at all go that way. And we started that process. I was 25, Adam was 26. And we didn't have Blake I turned 27. And so a little bit after that, so like about 2.5 years, that process took from trying on our own to starting infertility and to going through to actually being successful. And it's a pretty beautiful story, even though it was one of the first like trials, I guess, that we ever like were faced with in our marriage. But as I look back, I definitely see what God was doing. And when I say that, I say what God was doing within my heart and who I am as a person and my control and my selfishness and my trust and my just all the things that I had was putting in front of him. That we were going to church. We were, members of a church. We were in small group. We have community. Like we just were like living life. Like we both got successful careers. We've got a house and the dogs and it's time to have a family. We're going to have a family. And oh, wow, now we're having issues and we can't have kids. What? Go through Adam's. This was all kind of the same time. Like my gynecologist just happened to be an infertility specialized in that. And so I didn't have to switch doctors or look for doctors or anything. So that was kind of a blessing right there. So that process kind of started out with him telling us, I want you to try on your own, start tracking everything, which was me being like organizing and love charts and spreadsheets and stuff. Like I just never, ever had a regular like cycle ever. And I was on birth control for trying to help myself have a cycle regularly and monthly as like a late teen, I guess. I don't know, like 16, 17 or whenever I got on birth control. I don't even remember how old I was. And now that I have a daughter, I'm like, man, I don't really want to do that. But anyway, different story. I'm not sure if taking that birth control at that age for those years affected my state. When we got married, I probably should have stopped taking it. But according to what my body was going through, and doctor ordered me to take it this way and that way and blah, 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 that's what I was doing. And so I'm not sure if that had anything to do with why my body was not adjusting into it. And I feel like it could be. I don't know. I never regulated. My cycles were never regulated. Nothing was ever consistent. Even for going, 9-10 months of trying to track this, nothing. And I couldn't do it. And so I started a medication, which wasn't like a birth control. It was like I guess it was did I start? Yeah, I started on Clomid to help my body basically say, hey, I want you to have a cycle and I want it to be within 28 days, like that kind of thing. Did that for a couple times before Adam started looking at what I wasn't getting pregnant on just having Clomid with no other things, like just start taking this medication to help you have a cycle regularly. And then after months of trying that, then he was like, let's go ahead and get Adam assessed. And then that's where his infertility side started to come in. And so at this time I'm doing medication, Adam's doing medication. We're still not getting pregnant. So then the doctor started talking about, IVF and we're like, what? Like, holy cow. Like, and all I knew at that time was very little. All I knew is that, wow, that's going to be really expensive. And from a state of mind, from being like, we have successful careers and all this stuff, like planning for something like that was not in our finances at the time. Like we never would have thought like, yeah, we had a house and the cars and we had some savings and stuff, but like we wanted to have a kid and like there was a cushion of this. We didn't know that cushion could possibly go to just wanting to have a kid, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was stressful and that was hard of like, is this what it's going to take? Like we now have to dump all this money into trying to have a kid. And, you know, there's a lot of like mental things that you're going through and a lot of prayer time and just not understanding anything. And so, before we got to IVF, we asked him like, what else can we do? Is that the next step? And two things that I will have to say about that. I think there's always questions that you should ask the doctor. And no questions are dumb questions. And I will say that for the rest of my life, especially with, you know, that being an experience of like infertility and not knowing anything and not ever knowing anyone who walked through that, but also eventually down the line, having 6 kids, going through, you know, that pregnancy in the NICU, so many doctors, so many nurses, like don't ever stop asking questions to the medical people. And they might not know the right best answer every single time. And if you feel insecure about that and it doesn't make sense to you, ask another stupid question, you know? So just always ask questions. But, you know, we did ask him, like, we really don't want to start that. We don't really feel like that's what is next for us. So he brought up, you know, we can try IUI, which Adam loves to call it the
turkey baster.
Yeah. Ask how he explains having kids to his children.
Riley, a few weeks ago, she was like, Mommy, how did you get a baby in your belly?
Not how they came out, just how did it get in there?
And then I was just waiting for Danielle's reaction because I looked over at Riley. I was like, have you ever seen me baste a turkey?
Oh my God, I've not lost it.
Danielle snapped at me so fast.
Like, you are not going to tell Riley that. I mean, maybe they're older when we have conversations about like infertility and like they know parts of their story and whatnot, but not like the fine details.
But you also have to keep in mind that like pretty much
it was Riley asking.
Our kids are used to pretty much everything that I say to them is there's some sort of like sarcasm in there.
Yeah.
And so they know like I'm probably going to give them an answer that's just like,
Mommy, is that true?
Yeah. Like, look at Mommy. Like, is Dad telling the truth this time?
Yeah. And it was Riley who's then just going to ask more and more questions. And I'm like, Adam, that is not the right answer. And I was like, Riley, it's like God put you in my belly with 4 other siblings. Sidetrack. But so we decided to start the process of IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. And so this is kind of a step that I don't feel like doctors really talk much about or like push this anymore because IVF is the way to go. And
well, there's so much money in IVF.
Right. And that's
because
part of
also, and that's one of the things that you need to be like asking a lot of questions, like going into like, if you're really seriously considering IVF is, man, there's so many ethical issues with it. There's so many just like what ifs. There's so many different variables all across the board with IVF, from how many eggs that you can extract and fertilize and store and like what happens, like what's the process with storage, but also like, okay, so, you know, we do IVF and we get pregnant on the first round and then we have these fertilized eggs, these embryos that are now cryogenically frozen. Okay, what do we do with those? Are we gonna further implant those later on? Or, you know, is this going to come down to like, what do we do with it? Do we hold on to them forever? Because you're on the hook, like you're paying, you got to pay for them every month to have them stay there and frozen and stuff like that. So it can get very expensive, or you got to just figure out what you want to do with them. Like, do I want to later like implant these babies, or it comes down to like, you know, ethical issues and like us as Christians, like we don't want to discard these babies, you know, because they are fertilized babies. Yeah. And so, you know, do you put them up for adoption? Do you like, what's the process with that? And like vetting people to, you know, potentially carry our child, you know, like, cause like, this isn't just like, I mean, this isn't just like a sperm donor or like an egg donor. This is literally my sperm, your egg, our child. And then
biologically our child.
And then another mom is just like, in a sense, like a surrogate that has this child that's now has in your adoptive child.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot to think about. Like,
it's a lot to take in and stuff. But I honestly think that I'm not like the Bible doesn't say specifically IVF and like in vitro and retrieval of eggs. But I feel that if I had to have gone through that and they would have had to have extracted eggs out, I would need to be comfortable with the amount of eggs we chose to fertilize would be the amount of eggs that I would be willing to implant
and
for success. No matter if I had one kid and that was it, but I still had 3 embryos left. I don't want to fertilize 15 eggs and then there's just 15 of them. Like, I feel like a healthy...
I don't know that allow you to do that many. But...
No, I'm just saying a random number. Like, so I feel like I guess in my head, and advice in that sense is like, be willing to mentally implant however many eggs do fertilized. Even if you don't, you still have those embryos if they were fertilized, and you're either still paying for them to be frozen, or you have to make those decisions like, to embryo, like adopt them out. And so there's a lot of things about that. But I know lots of people
because there's still not a guarantee that these,
right,
that it works. Right. So.
And above all, I still say God is the creator and has the vision and plan for all life. And no matter what your decisions come and what happens, God's purpose will apply and pan out no matter what. So anyway, that's our opinion on if we went to that.
Which we didn't have
to that. So through the IUI process, once again, we don't know anything about this. He basically explains to us what this process is. And I would say like the first round was not anything like, I'm not like scared of doctors or needles or blood or guts and exams and ultrasounds. And like, I feel like once you go through the story of my life of walking through lots of like health things and stuff, like you've been through lots of different types of procedures and whatnot. And I'm just not ashamed. I'm like, let's get this done. Like, what's the process? Like, let's do this. For myself, for IUI, there's never any retrieval of anything outside my body. Okay. So what they're doing is, I'm on this medication that's helping me cycle regularly, which therefore is then, the anatomy of a woman is creating these follicles. And then as they get of a certain size, which you're doing ultrasounds like every 3 days, and doctors measuring them and which ones are growing and how, in your ovaries, like which are growing and what size are what. And when they get to a certain size, because I won't ovulate, you're going to take a shot, and within 24 hours or whatever that time frame was, those are going to release, and those are going to be the eggs that are releasing. So in this state, time-wise, you're going to the doctor every like 2 to 3 days to get an ultrasound to keep up with measurements of these follicles growing. And at a certain point of certain size, the doctor is going to say, hey, I'm going to give you a prescription for your injection tonight, do your injection, and you're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to go ahead and do insemination, which means we go get the prescription filled. We get home later that night, do the shot. Adam's going to come with me to the doctor in the morning. He's going to go down to the lab. He's going to go have fun in that room that he loves downstairs with all the click clacking noises. And
the boom boom room.
The boom boom room. And they're going to, this just sounds so weird to even like say out loud and like talk about, but like they're going to take his specimen and they call it clean it and wash it, which means
they find the best swimmers.
They're taking everything into a thing and they're pulling out
motility and
the healthy ones.
Swimmers.
I don't know which ones. Honestly, I don't know. I've never seen what they look through at a scope, so I don't know. So they're extracting a bunch of sperm, which is crazy. It's just crazy. And they're going to now put it in a doggy bag and bring it upstairs in a sense. And that's where Adam says the turkey baster comes in. And doctor's going to do an ultrasound and look at things. And then he's going to basically inject
the specimen as close to the follicles as possible, so they have like the best chance of.
So he's basically what he's doing. If I recall this and remember, I will check myself on this, but like, so
because it's a pretty long thing. It like runs up in you.
Come on, it was not this long, Adam Busby. That's like up through my mouth.
All up in your guts.
Oh my gosh, man.
I thought it was pretty long.
That's what she said.
It's like a long and like thin little.
It does. It has like a little tube, because what he's doing is, so there's like your vaginal canal and your cervix, and then your uterus. So he's putting it through the cervix, and instead of this, we didn't know we were having a health class, and I don't know if this is all the right terminology, but this is what my brain remembers: is he takes a specimen and this tube goes through my cervix into the uterus, so that when the eggs drop, it's a higher likely that the sperm and the egg meet. Okay. Instead of a specimen going in like vaginal canal, having to swim through the cervix and get in the uterus. And I can see it visually. I think it's just a higher probability, but still no guarantee that this is going to work. Okay. So this is where we're at. So this was our first time. I think I don't recall the very first time how many like follicle eggs I dropped, but I want to say,
because like if like we would actually be like actually physically doing it, which we would try like later that day.
Well, we never stopped.
So like actually
trying.
Like I'd be just kind of dropping my dudes off in the foyer, but he brings them all the way into the bedroom. Is where it's kind of like
okay, yeah, that's good. Cheers, cheers. I think every episode we might have a cheers moment. So then you just wait. Basically, just think about if this was like the first time you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to try to have a baby. And you had intercourse, sex, made love, whatever you want to call it. And then you're like, okay, let's wait till see if I have a period. And I mean, that one scenario, this is still what I think is beautiful about this, even though it's still hard, is that we really don't know. We really don't know if we got pregnant with Blake via IUI or via just on our own at home. Like we'll never know that. And like what to us, I don't need to know the answer to that, but we don't really know, because you saw the doctor one time on the perfect case day of like when your height of getting pregnant. And then it's like, don't stop having sex.
Yeah. Go home and
try again and try again and try again and try again. And then you wait for your period. And if your period came, then it didn't work. You didn't get pregnant. Okay. So we did that. Didn't work the first time. Didn't work the second time. Didn't work the third time. And that's 3 months in a row. And now we're just feeling like defeated, man. We are just like, what the heck? Like, what are we going to do now? Like we've already been like 2 years of like not being able to have a kid on our own, going through
all these fertility drugs and treatments and tests, and
you just feel like a project
where you're just trying to like fine tune your bodies to where it's like the perfect
day and time and all the things
situation to actually be able to do like the IUIs. And so, and then all of a sudden you start doing the IUIs monthly.
And then it's like, okay, then you have to have sex on these days, and this is your time, and you got to do this. And then it doesn't work. And it doesn't work. And then, I don't think we never blamed each other, or we never like, I don't think we ever felt that upon each other that, I'm speaking for myself. Did you feel this? Like, I never felt like this is your fault. Did you ever feel like, oh, this is my fault?
No. I mean, most of it was like me. I don't know. Like you're just tense. You're just like tense. You don't know what the problem is. You don't know if it's you. You don't know what it is. You're not necessarily like fighting and bickering with each other about like, oh, this is your fault. Like this is.
You're just upset about.
But you're upset with the situation.
You're just broken and
like this is something that like you want more than anything right now, because you've been going down this road for so long. And it's not working, and it's just stressful, and it's like hard on like it breaks you down.
Yeah.
And
though this was only 3 or 4 months of IUI, we're now like over 2 years of not being successful and to our way anyway. And we're trying our best to not have to say like, we need to go to IVF. And at this point, doctor is telling us, I think, actually we did it 4 times.
Yeah.
We did it. I think we did it 4 times.
This is like the only way that you're going to probably get
we've
pregnant
done this 4 times.
IVF next time around. And we're like, look, that's a lot for us. And it's just like we're not quite just prepared to like deal with all of those.
I think what's hard is that even though we love each other, we both have the same goal. You go through a struggle and you don't know how to fix it. And there's no like, what do we do about this? And we're not receiving what we want. So we had to start talking about the conversations slowly had to start to change. Like, what do we do if this doesn't happen? Are we going to do IVF? How much financially is that going to cost us? Would we ever adopt? And I mean, you start really thinking about all these different scenarios of like, but I'm also feeling as a woman is that like, I want to be pregnant. I want to know what that's like. I want to be a mom, not just a mom, but I want to be pregnant. Like, and I want that to happen, And so I feel like in our experience, like we just like the marriage started to get tense in a way because not that we're mad or upset with the other partner. It's that we're mad and upset with the situation. And and I think this was, I would say everything has a purpose. And so I know for this scenario, what God was doing with me and for me in this scenario. And for someone, who had to start off young, kind of doing for herself and set in her ways and trust this and trust that and don't trust him and don't trust her and like all these things. I had so much that I knew that I didn't know I needed to let go of. And when we went on this route of like infertility, there was a level of control and I'm going to do this and it's going to be this way. And I want it to be at this time. And then I wanted to have it this age. And there was all these standards I had put in place. And that's not at all what God
But then
wanted.
all the while, I think what led to like a lot of the stress is just like a lot of our friends were starting to have kids like around us. And
I mean,
so
both
it's like
my sisters had kids.
You're like in the thick of it, like trying and trying and trying, like you want this desperately. And all of a sudden, like all your friends around you are pregnant. And you're like, man.
I mean, I remember like, Ashley had Lily, Crystal had Mackenzie, and our friends, in League City from church, whatever, they're having kids. And it's just, you are just mentally like just down because your heart is saying, I desire a child. I want a child. But it was baby shower after baby shower after baby shower. And it was just so hard it was, in all honesty, it was so hard to feel happy because for that person in the moment, because it's what I wanted so much, and men don't necessarily are not put in those situations where it's like baby shower, baby shower, baby shower. But that was the season of life for everybody around us. Yeah. And especially when it's close to home, it's like my sisters and your sisters. And it's like babies and your best friends and everybody's having kids. And you're like, God, why not us? Like, what is going on? And so I do, like, I can feel it in my heart, like now, like how much it hurt to like be walking in that season for years and saying, when is my turn? When is my turn, God? Like, when is my turn? And that's hard. And those listening that are going through that experience, I was not healthy, sound in mind Christian level at that point. But this is what God was doing within me at this struggle, was those moments and those feelings of why not me? Why not my time? And the hurt you feel, like that is okay. Like that's real. And God already knows that. And he just is waiting for you to just call out to him in prayer. And like, I'm telling you, like, oh geez, when I start talking about this stuff in tears, kids and stuff. That's what gets me. That's my story. It's okay. Like, it is okay. It's okay to have those feelings. And God doesn't want you to be upset, but he wants you to seek him, and he wants you to seek him. And that's what I learned. I will never forget that day, because we went through, 3 to 4 months of these appointments and the negative, and you just are like, you're just frustrated. You feel tossed around. You feel like you're not worthy. And it's all lies. It's just all lies. And I remember I remember coming home from work one day, and I pulled into the neighborhood. You were already at home. I remember coming home from work one day, and I stopped at the end of the road, and it was like how it was like the lake, and then the moon was right there. And I freaking just yelled, and I just sat in the car, and I literally just screamed. I don't know if you actually know this, but I just remember just being so frustrated and I think it was because I either got invited to another shower or someone had just told me they were pregnant again. And I just remember pulling up at home, going to, Adam was already at the house, going to see Adam, and just not knowing what to, do I even want to, and these are just lies. Do I even want to look at his face? Do I even want to talk to him? I'm mad. I'm mad at God. I'm mad at Adam. I'm mad at me. I'm mad at all the things. And I just remember pulling up in the way that the light on the lake to how the moon was. It almost was like a flashlight shining on me, like God was saying, come on, yell at me. Yeah, I'm looking at you right now. And that's how mind blowing this moment was to me, that I just yelled out, what do you want from me? I don't know what more to give. I feel like my whole life I've been told, you're going to be a great mom and all these things. And, wow, I'm really crying. I'm wow. I don't have my tissues. And there's the sweet girls. Mama, why are you crying?
They just got home from school.
Let me get a tissue real quick. Oh, look, it's on the floor. I knew there was some somewhere. Hold on. Anyway, so I remember that moment. It's one of those points in my life. I did not know it at the moment that I'm just yelling out in rage to God. In my head, I'm like, you're not even listening. But I'm just mad, and I'm yelling at you because you're shining a flashlight at me from this moon right here. And then I got all of it out, yelling at the window, and then went home. And that was about it. And then I don't remember time-wise what went on. I think we just got into conversations it's just I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel unhappy. I don't want to feel miserable. I don't want to feel sad. We came to a decision that we just need to take a break. We need to just recenter ourselves and just take a break from this.
We were just at a tipping point.
We just felt so weighted.
Of just exhaustion, just tired, beat down, didn't know what we wanted to do next. And it just wasn't a good place to be.
Yeah.
And, and for whatever reason, whatever was going on at church at the time, they were pushing, just volunteering and just needing volunteers and stuff. And, we both kind of saw that as God was pushing us to look, follow me, trust me,
it just was we just, from that to me, from the scream yelling moment to conversations to say, let's just give it a break. It almost felt like this weight was kind of lifted off. And it was just let's just be us. Let's just get back to doing the normal thing. We work, we go on dates, we hang out with our friends, we go to church, and not think about everything we have to do medically for this thing, to try to have a family. Let's just take a freaking break, And I think it probably was literally that next Sunday. And we were like, want to go sign up to serve?
Yeah.
And we did.
We were just trying to say God, where do you want us right now? I know that right now, wherever we're at for whatever reason, we're not getting pregnant, but like, what do you want from us right now? And we started like looking into like just serving in the church. We looked at, like serving in like the kids in nursery and stuff. And it wasn't really the best fit at the time. I mean, you know, we're trying to get pregnant and like, we just didn't want to be around babies at the time. Like, you know, seeing all these babies and then we ended up joining the senior high ministry at our church. And we just poured our lives into senior high ministry. And we did that for years. Yeah. But through that time, you know, we poured into these young kids' lives and
we did that for years. But before, like we got involved in the high school ministry, which was a total, like, to me, like God thing. Like I'm a Christian at that point, but I'm not like a sound. I'm like I was very new, and I didn't, I felt totally unequipped to do something like that. And that just shows God's beauty through that, because it takes more than ourselves. But we got involved with youth ministry and hanging out, and it turned out to be summertime. That's what it was. It was like right in May. And then we started out with summer, and we were just doing all these fun weekly things with the senior high. We started out with some freshmen. They asked us to go to like, if we wanted to go ahead and like lead a group of kids, or like, what do you say? Like, chaperone, be a leader for a group of kids to go to summer camp. Like, you be in a room with X number of kids. And so, you know, we're like, okay, we're going to Florida, you know? And at that point we've met new community of people to hang out with. We are keeping ourselves, you know, like entertained and busy, and our distractions of what we were trying to do and all that wait for 2.5 years. Like, we just let it go, and we just pushed it aside and said, we're just going to live, and we're just going to take a break from all that stress, and we're just going to go. And so we had a lot of fun, and then we went to youth camp. And it was a lot of beautiful things happened at youth camp. I mean, every youth camp is just amazing to just see what God does through children. And I was super overwhelmed with just testimonies of, you know, these teenagers, and just hearing experiences in lives that they're going through and what they're going through right now, and how sad, and like my heart, I don't typically carry a lot of empathy, and I felt bad for, you know, I didn't have the perfect life, but man, there are some kids suffering, like really suffering. And that just like grabbed me, and like, you know, you're here, you're a person that they can talk to, even if you don't know the perfect words to say or how to be the best you can be. Like, you being present and just being there for them and letting them, you know, talk to a safe person, was beautiful, and was so, I don't know what's the word. It was just so, like, as I look back, I just see what God was doing. Like, listen, like just using our pain, setting it aside, and showing us that, you know, you are capable. You will have children. And he did prove to me that moment in those days that, like, I didn't know the best way to pray with just child or whatnot, but man, just to see the Holy Spirit like take over those moments, and like, you know, through me, Holy Spirit took over me and was able to pray for these certain kids. And just like, it was like experiencing that was just amazing, you know? And, all things that what we were thinking about and the struggles that we had were not anywhere in our rim, you know?
Yeah. And it completely just took all that stress away. Like, we completely just not forgot, but we just completely dropped, you know, the fertility stuff at the time. And like, this is where God wants us to be right now. And we're going to focus on this. We're going to focus on these students' lives, and we're just going to pour our life into this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, great. We met amazing friendships with the other leaders, the youth minister at the time. Like, I mean, we just had such a fun dynamic, and it was just a great community with the kids, but also with the leaders and stuff around there. And so, you know, we're filling our time and serving and loving others and, not thinking about, what our own struggle was. And then months go by and I just remember waking up one day and do you remember this? And me saying, I don't know. I just woke up and I said, I think today I'm going to call the doctor. I think we're going to try this month. And you just said, okay. And there was no nothing. I just woke up and I called the doctor. They said, okay, we'll put you in here, come in. I ended up going, I think that day to do an ultrasound, to see where I was in my cycle. Cause I didn't know where I was. And it just so happened to be, oh, you're right on track. Let's do this. I want to say, I don't remember. Maybe I'd have to go look back at my blog and reread this possibly, but it could have been the same day. Mm-hmm. If not the same day, it was the next day that we went in, you did the specimen and we did the IUI. And on that particular day, it was also, we've been in this doctor's office, doctor room so many times. I mean, I'm like, I know what to do. Turn the lights off. I'm going to take my bottoms off and put this gown on, turn the lights on, put the machine on. But on this particular day, Adam happened to take a picture of me in that room before the day started. But I know this wasn't like a regular thing we did. Yeah. It just was spontaneous. I think honestly, what I think he was doing, he's like, she's about to take her pants off. Let me take a photo.
No, it was like just something different something felt different that day. And
I was in my, my camp youth leader shirt.
Youth camp shirt. And I'm like, and I even said this is the day that you're pregnant.
This is the day.
I was like, this is it. And I took a photo of you laying on that.
No, I think I was sitting up or standing. I was about to lay down. It's on the blog. I'll have to look at it.
No, I think we had just done the insemination and you were just laying there.
Oh, laying out. Yeah.
The doctor had left.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
And you'd kind of sat up a little bit. And so I took a photo right then. And I'm like, this is the moment. And I was just completely confident in that. And it ended up being...
And confident in the day.
The day.
But we don't know if it was IUI or...
Yeah.
ADAM.
I mean, it's both ADAM.
Anyway, so it was so there was no stress. There was no pressure. There was it just all that day. It just all was on a whim. And that day could have been 48 hours, 20, I can't remember exactly how long it was between. I'm like, I'm going to go to the doctor. I know it was that day I called them to, that IUI. It was within either 2 days. It was very much on par.
Yeah.
And then, over the period of the next 2 weeks, we're, if you're involved in youth ministry, there's something going on all the time. And it's a busy commitment, to be in. And so we're still in group. We're still doing all our stuff with these kids in the ministry and going to church and our own small group that we're involved in and all these things and not even thinking about what day it is and all this stuff. And so, the 2 weeks go by and, I had peed on so many sticks before that were negative. And it was just it's just such a heartbreak that time. You're you want to pee on the stick to see if it's positive, but then you don't because you don't want to get let down. And that had happened so many times, years, years of that. Mm-hmm. So many that you're just I don't want to do it, but for you to know ahead of time, for you to know at home, I guess, you have to do it. So I remember we both got up going to work and I was I think I went and peed on the stick.
I was already.
No. Don't get confused with the quints.
Oh yeah.
This was with Blake. So you were ironing your shirt. I remember this. You were ironing your shirt in the kitchen, dining area. And I remember I peed on a stick and I just put it on the back of the toilet, kind of forgot about it, went, got some water, whatever. Time goes by and I looked at it and I kind of was shocked. I think I went to go finish, maybe try to get ready for work. And I looked at it and I went to tell you, I was like, Adam, oh my God, it's it's positive. And you're like, what? Are you sure?
Do another
one. And then I was like, but I can't. I don't have to pee. I like could not be. So I'm like down in some water, some apple juice, some orange juice or whatever. And it's like, do it again. And it was like, do it again. It was like, do it again. So that was a beautiful day. And so we did call the doctor and we told him we had a positive test. And they said, oh, come on in and let's do some blood work. And that blood work was positive. And we waited. Well, we waited to tell your family and stuff. And if we're honest, we didn't really talk about what we were going through infertility wise with our family, like at all. It wasn't until like we really started like that IUI process. We were like, look, this is where we're at. We've been trying this. It's not working, blah, blah. We're faced with this. This is where we're stepping into. And so we wanted to be like, everybody was at this time, my sister's mom, everybody, his family, they're in Lake Charles. And so no one lived over here by us at all this time. And so we waited till we got like the first ultrasound and, did a whole little thing, a little postcard thing and whatnot, and then told his parents and family and whatever. And so, yeah, then, I'm telling you, years go by. Years, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe it was Blake's first birthday when we were looking through photos. It could have been that. I don't know. But a long time went by. And I think it was her first birthday because we were looking for photos each month to put up. And we came across that photo that Adam took the day in a doctor's office that we did the last IUI. And it's like bad quality. It's super low light. But it freaked us out. We were like, oh my gosh, we captured that day. And we never did it any other day. And just looking back, as you look back and you just see these little pin drops and these little just like sprinkles like God puts in you and puts around you. And then you start seeing all of these things just like bring so much beauty and sight. We prayed for that for so long. And here we are like finally getting to be finally pregnant, seeing the beauty of God and like up into this first birthday celebration, even through all this, like I got like baptized as a believer, like with small group and, like God showed me like who he is as a father and like understanding the difference between like God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Like I understood that, but, really resonated with me. Like one day at church, like I remember it too. Like it just clicked to me, like when we were going through this, like who God the Father was, because my description of father wasn't like a traditional, healthy, good case. I didn't have one. And so when people would say God the Father, that didn't ever resonate and mean anything to me until one day it did. One day it clicked through a song at church and it just was like, wow, he is so loving. He's so caring. He's always there. He's always going to be there. And no matter what you go through, he's got your best intentions and your heart's desire, like, set. And he will bring beauty to your life and to your story. And it's all according to his timing. And that was what, to sum all that up from like where I, didn't know Jesus to trying to do things on my own and fight the fight and trials and trust and plan and organize and this and yelling at God and then seeing all these little sprinkles over the time and to then being blessed with Blake and, having her going through the pregnancy was a great pregnancy. I was a little bit nauseous here and there and I had a great pregnancy. I thought it was just like, it's a beautiful, amazing, incredible thing that women can go through. You are growing a child inside of you that started out as smaller than a grain, mm-hmm. And that's all God's doing. And it's beautiful. And that's still mind blowing. Like every hair to fingernail to everything, and just, the day we had her I remember just being like, here me came through. I'm not getting an epidural because I want to know what this feels like. I want to know the pain that I'm supposed to feel, even though I hadn't gone through enough pain. I was just told Adam, I was like, I just want to know what it feels like. I want to know what it feels like, these contractions and whatnot. And I was fighting that. And then I did get the epidural because
it hurt.
The nurse was like, you're going to need an epidural. You're going to need an epidural. So we had Blake on 4/5/11, April 5th, 2011. And she was 6 pounds, 14 ounces. And she was skinny and lanky, just like she is today. Mm-hmm. But that was a amazing day too. Beautiful day.
Yeah. All our family was there. I mean, we did have like a little bit of a scare, just with you like bleeding. Like you tore, like, I guess more than they'd wanted or something like that. And, like family was pretty nervous because like they knew that Blake was born, but then it was taking forever.
Oh wait, do we want to tell them the good part of the story? And the good part of the story was that we had Blake, and we're all fine. But the Adam part of the story is this part of the birth and delivery. Go ahead, Adam. Tell everybody.
Well, I mean, because like everybody's texting me like, hey, is Danielle okay? Is everybody okay? Like, send us a photo, like whatever, because like they knew Blake was born, but we were still in the room for quite some time. Like you were receiving blood. They were trying to get the bleeding to stop. Like, and it was just like the doctor was still
blood transfusion.
Like it was taking a while, and so they were asking like for photos and stuff like that.
It's probably a good hour.
Like, and
they're
so
like, Blake's.
I sent a photo to Dale of Danielle's placenta
in the tray on the table. As all this is going on, Adam's still being Adam. They're like over there, like cleaning Blake, and
I got to cut the cord.
Yeah,
the umbilical cord.
You did the dad things, but now they're just waiting. They're like measuring Blake and doing all these things, and he's getting text after text, and I'm just laying there, and he's doing this. And he's like, "Well, here's a picture of this." His dad was so pissed. But I'll never forget that. And that's a funny story we laugh at, because this is the story of our life. There is always something Adam's doing to get a laugh out of it. Always. Yeah. So he was not going to send a picture of Blake. Everybody, it was like, no.
That's what everybody wants.
He's like, no, I'm going to leave him hanging. Like, you couldn't send him like a picture of like her hair or like her foot or something. It's like, no, here's her placenta. Oh.
I've never seen a placenta before. I figured they'd be curious too.
Well, at this time they all had kids, so they've all seen one. Anyway, so that was the story of Danielle's placenta. Just kidding. Yeah, so that is our first kind of round of like, growing into a family and the trials and, going through infertility.
And just being open to like God's direction through it, and like, seeing through the middle of that and through the heartache and through the pressure and the stress, like God was telling us like, no, I want your heart. Yeah. I want you here. Like, I want you to, this is where I want you to be right now. I want you to focus on this. Don't stress about this. And
it was the best our marriage had ever been through that season too. And then what led on to like having Blake and having a community of people and having these kids around that just wanted to play with Blake all the time. Yeah. And,
like it was so much more of a beautiful story because we were faithful and allowed God to like lead us where he wanted us.
When we kind of stepped back and let go of the reins, which is still hard for me to do this day, for things, but I still look back to this day and I'm like, that was the happiest and where I've ever seen Adam, just thriving in, like just life. And I mean, he knows this. I mean, he's so talented and good at what he does now and stuff, but it was just a different, and you know this, it was just a different scenario. And we are, to this day, it's a very different life because now he has 6 girls. But then in the journey of the 4 years we had just Blake, those were that was the season of prime. Like, I still think about Adam on those days. Like, that's my high of Adam. Like, that's the Adam I want. That's the Adam that needs to be here every day, because I know you can do it, but we're so distracted daily with so many things and so many kids and so much beauty and so much stress and so much. There's just so much.
Yeah.
But anyways, we are going to get me some more tissues. And so if I'm the only one crying, you're not my friend. Well, thanks guys for listening to More Than Reality podcast.
Yeah. And we will continue this story because it gets so much better and so much more beautiful, like as this story progresses. Yeah. And God's done so much in our life.
Continued to do so much, yeah.
In our story, and continues to do so much, even to this day. And we've kind of seen his work so evident in just every aspect of our story, and how he is just weaving this beautiful picture. And so we will continue the story in the next episode. So,
yeah. And thank you, Lord, for everybody listening. And just, I just want to pray that, like, those listening, that those who hear this message that we're saying in our story, and, what you've done and what experience we've gone through, that you can, they can grasp onto you and, follow and trust you and bring them peace and comfort. Wanting to share this story so that, others can have hope, and there is hope. There is always hope. So thank you guys for listening. Peace out.
This is More Than Reality.